Most people think being good with money is about intelligence, that if you're smart enough, you'll figure it out. You'll invest correctly, avoid mistakes, build wealth over time. But that's not what actually happens, because some of the smartest people you know are also the worst with money, and that's not random. There's a reason for it. And once you see it, it's hard to ignore. Think about someone you know, smart, capable, successful on paper. They make good money. They understand complex things, but somehow they're always stressed about finances. They earn, but don't build. They save, but reset. They plan, but don't follow through. And it doesn't make sense. So, what's going wrong? At first glance, it looks like a strategy problem. Maybe they don't know how to invest. Maybe they spend too much. Maybe they just need a better plan. But that's not the real issue. And this is where things start to shift. Because the problem isn't what they know, it's how they behave. Let's rewind for a second. Imagine growing up in an environment where money felt unstable, not necessarily poor, just unpredictable. Some months were calm, others were stressful. Bills appeared out of nowhere. Conversations got tense. And even when things were okay, there was always that underlying feeling that something could go wrong. You didn't analyze it at the time, but you absorbed it. Now, fast forward, you're older, you have income, you understand what you should do, save more, spend less, invest consistently. But something doesn't line up because every time you try to follow the plan, something interrupts it. You hesitate, you overthink, you delay decisions. And this is the part most people never realize. Money decisions are not logical. They feel logical, but they're driven by emotion. And this is where smart people fall into a trap because they try to solve money with logic. When the problem isn't logical, here's what that looks like in real life. Imagine someone making $80,000 a year. They know they should invest. They've watched the videos, read the advice, and they even open a brokerage account. But then they start thinking, is this the right time? What if the market drops? What if I picked the wrong thing? So they wait. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. And during that time, nothing happens. Now compare that to someone else. Same income, same opportunities. They don't overthink. They invest $500 every month. No perfect timing, no complex strategy, just consistency. After 5 years, the difference is massive. Not because one person was smarter, but because one person acted. And this is the hidden gap. Because overthinking feels responsible, it feels smart. But in reality, it keeps you stuck. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The same person who overthinks investing might spend impulsively without hesitation. A new phone, a trip, a random purchase. No deep analysis, no spreadsheets, no waiting. Why? Because emotion overrides logic. And this creates a loop. Careful in the wrong places, reckless in the wrong moments. And over time, that inconsistency compounds. Not just financially, but mentally. You start to lose trust in yourself. You think, why do I keep doing this? But that's the wrong question. The real question is, why does this feel normal? And this changes everything. Because now you're not fixing money. You're uncovering patterns. Patterns that were built over years. Through experiences you didn't even notice. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. You notice the hesitation, the need for certainty, the emotional spikes. And this is the turning point, because awareness gives you leverage. Now you can design around your behavior instead of fighting it. You simplify your decisions. You automate your investing. You remove the need to rely on discipline, and suddenly, everything starts to feel easier. Not because money changed, but because your system changed. And this is the truth most people miss. Wealth isn't built by intelligence. It's built by consistency. The people who win with money aren't the smartest. They're the ones who can make simple decisions and repeat them over and over without overthinking, without resetting, without stopping. And that's much harder than it sounds because it requires something most people avoid: self-awareness. It requires you to look at your behavior honestly, to understand what drives your decisions, to accept that your patterns aren't random. They were learned. And once you understand that, you stop fighting yourself. And when that happens, everything starts to change. So, if you've ever felt like you should be doing better with money, but something keeps holding you back, it's not because you're not capable. It's because you're solving the wrong problem. And once you fix that, money becomes a lot simpler. Not easy, but simple. And that's what actually changes your financial future.